Da da did it da da did it da did Fort Huachuca. Happy Morse Code Day to those that celebrate it. And I'd like to thank Gabriella one more time for joining us last week and going through FAP and some of the new things. I'm super excited to have the DAG2 Sergeant Major Julie Guerra in studio with me. I was fortunate enough to serve with her as her Ops Sergeant Major in the mighty 501st MI Brigade. And Sergeant Major, please introduce yourself to the audience.
So first of all, no one celebrates Morse Code Day, so I'm just going to start with that. Second, so Julie Guerra, I'm originally from Tucson. I joined the Army in 1994 as a counterintelligence agent and have spent the majority of my career in Force Command and TRADOC, and had the opportunity of a lifetime to be the 501st MI Brigade Sergeant Major in Korea, which is the best brigade in the Army. And then I went to the Department of the Army G357 in the Strategy, Plans, and Policy, and then to the Cyber School, where I was there for 27 months as the Regimental and School Sergeant Major. And then I came back to the Pentagon, and now I'm in the G2. I've been there for about almost 22, 23 months right now. So
awesome. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
And, I get to ask you some questions now because you're on my show. A lot of change coming. We've talked about some, we've had an awesome MI Sergeant Major and CSM forum over the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. I know some of the changes can't be talked about, and some of them are coming soon. One that you briefed us today, I do think you can talk about. Would you like to mention a little bit about that?
Sure. So yesterday, the Secretary of the Army signed the Army directive that is going to normalize parenthood inside of the United States Army, and it's everything from stabilization for IVF to allowing soldiers to attend certain professional military education courses pregnant, or it's a lot of things inside of the space of normalizing parenthood to give people the ability to grieve a lost child during a miscarriage through convalescent leave. Lactation rooms, those are pretty much everywhere now, but it's also just making sure that that's continuing to promulgate across the force as something that is mission essential for an organization. So a lot of things to include, one of the ones that I'm sure soldiers would be excited about, to make the CDC parking lots no hat, no salute areas to allow soldiers to come and go from the facility, get their children diaper bags, car seats, toys, pacifiers, whatever, without having to stop and put the baby down in the parking lot and salute somebody. So not that I think that was happening a lot, but it does give leaders the opportunity to really give that space in transition for soldiers to not have to worry about that as an option.
Definitely. And, I'm going to talk to my battle buddy later on today. We're going to try to be the first garrison to implement that at our CDCs.
Lead the way.
2 years in the job.
Yes.
It's been, an awesome 2 years in Army Intel as well. What are some of the things that the DAG2 is focused on right now that you can talk about?
So a lot of the modernization priorities, the IEW battalions that are coming online, making sure that they have the equipment as they're coming online. The CI command, which has already transitioned from the 902nd to the CI command, which will really be kind of all things CI and authorities-wise. And just overall the management of personnel and what that looks like inside of force design updates and structure. And the overall policy on how we fund everything that you soldiers out in the operational force, from resources to manning to equipment need inside of the intel profession.
Awesome. Exciting times. Almost 2 years in the job now. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you would have known when you started the position?
So I had a pretty good understanding of how the National Defense Authorization Act, the National Defense Strategy, all of that, how it informs what we do inside the Army because of what I did the first time I was in the building, which was all strategy, plans, policy, war plans for the Army. And so I had a pretty good understanding of that. What I didn't have a really good beat on was how that affected programming, particularly for MI systems, aerial ISR, how we're going to modernize with TLIS and OSINT, and how that works as far as authorities goes, and then how do we manage that population so that it's an ongoing kind of talent mechanism instead of a pickup game. And so how do we actually put those positions inside of formations, and how really that affects Congress. And talking to professional staff members inside of the G2 and on the Hill in my fancy pants, and talking to them about that, and really as a senior enlisted leader, impressing upon them so that they can impress upon their members so that we can continue to get money. And I didn't really have a good appreciation for how all of that informs what we do collectively in the Army, not just in our CMF, every single day.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm here for what you're
just soaking it all in. You're welcome.
Thank you for taking that one for the team. Anything else you'd like to talk to the audience about? I've got one final question I'll hit you with in a sec, but.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that I'll take this opportunity, because this is my kind of other full-time job, is that in the summer of 20, the Fort Hood Independent Review Commission committee happened, and the report was released in December of 20, and it was all things related to what was happening at Fort Hood with a permissive and pervasive environment of sexual harassment, Vanessa Guillen's murder, other soldiers that had been missing and murdered, and what happened from that point in changing Army policy and how we report missing soldiers and AWOL. And the People First Task Force was stood up by then Secretary McCarthy with 3 tri-chairs, which General Brito from the G1, Miss Renan, who's the Deputy G2, and then myself were designated as the 3 tri-chairs, really representing the officer, the enlisted, the civilian cohorts inside of our formation. And that task force is all things in response to the Fort Hood Independent Review. And so there's been a lot of work in the prevention space. There's been fusion pilot directorates where we take everything to assist a victim or survivor of sexual assault so that it's a one-stop shop as far as taking care of soldiers, and really looking at how we just continue to take the 9 findings and the 70 recommendations and get after all of them, either through policy or programs, taking a really good look at what we have and where the redundancies and gaps are. And so I always foot stomp that People First Task Force is not a hashtag, it's not a tagline, it's not a mechanism for a soldier to say, I got people firsted when they get put on orders for Korea or NTC. There's still a mission and a requirement. And also, those places need good leaders too. And so while it might be your first choice, those organizations deserve to have good leaders, and the soldiers do as well. And so it's about the collective effort. It's not puppies and rainbows and butterflies. It's not getting off at 1500. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it is an org day. Sometimes it is an early release. Sometimes it's a really hard PT session. Sometimes it's UCMJ to hold subordinates accountable. And all of that falls within the People First space, and it's how we take care of people and do the mission, because they are not mutually exclusive. People First is part of mission analysis, is part of mission accomplishment, and the only way that we can win, and winning matters, is that we do that with the people that we have, and we treat them with dignity and respect and take care of them every single day.
I like it, and I appreciate everything the task force done, and I know that y'all are doing that while maintaining, other pretty hard jobs.
Yes.
One question I always ask senior leaders when I get them in a room or on a camera: if you could snap your fingers and all your NCOs would do this one thing better, what would that one thing be?
Don't be a bystander for anything, for inappropriate behavior, for the trash that someone just walked by, for the bootlace that's down, for the ponytail that's past the bottom of the shoulder blades, whatever it is, there's an Army standard. And don't be a bystander. Don't walk past it. Don't allow your subordinates to walk past it. The old saying of, once you don't make an on-the-spot correction or check a standard that's not in place, that becomes the new standard. That's absolutely true. And I've seen that at every echelon that I've led at. Once you have an organization where it isn't standards-based anymore, and it becomes personality based, a lot of issues ensue. And so sometimes it's just like snap, stop, everybody pause, look around, what's happening right now, and what's one thing that we can all fix collectively, regardless of your rank. What is one thing you can all collectively fix? Maybe it's a police call. Maybe it's putting together a company barbecue. Maybe it's stopping that inappropriate language that's at the borderline of sexual harassment right now and using it as a train, teach, and coach moment for those soldiers. And so that, to me, is probably one of the most important things that I think we collectively, all of us as leaders, need to do.
Agree, 100%. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Volunteer for Korea.
Korea's
awesome.
Not as awesome as Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
Well, and also volunteer to be part of the institution. You cannot sit on the sidelines and talk about the product that you get from Fort Huachuca without contributing to the solution. So, coming from me as a former battalion sergeant major here, a school sergeant major, and a former drill sergeant in basic and AIT, I will tell you that the Army needs good leaders. And so stop trying to get out of hard jobs, go do them. And go to Korea.
I dig it.
Make it top of your ASCM. Make Huachuca top of your ASCM. It's really important. We need good leaders at these places. We need you all to take hard jobs and to do hard things, and that's super important for our overall profession.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your friendship and your mentorship.
Always.
I knew we were going to have to do that on camera because
Always.
That's kind of our thing.
It's our thing.
Totally appreciate it. Like I said, thanks. And I know Matt's going to have some music for the show here
He
before
is.
too long.
My husband's adding a tagline.
We're excited about that. But
Coming to
you. Thank you. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope some of y'all copied that code I gave you at the very beginning. But thanks again. Be safe.